But if nobody sees what they do, then nothing they do, even if in their own consciousness and their own feelings it should be undesirable, engenders any such impulse in them. The bliss prepared there by the ancient Romans has in recent times already so penetrated the nature of your favorites breeding on all the continents of that ill-fated planet that it is even difficult to say which beings of which contemporary communities have inherited most from these obliging Romans. But as regards the inheritance passed down from the ancient Greeks, namely the passion for inventing various fantastic sciences, this has not become inherent to all the three-brained beings of contemporary times equally, but it has passed down only to certain beings arising among the beings of all the contemporary large and small communities breeding on all the terra firma parts of the surface of that peculiar planet. Proportionately, this passion, namely to invent fantastic sciences, has passed down from the ancient Greeks mainly to the beings of the contemporary community existing there under the name of Germany. The beings of that contemporary Germany can be boldly called the direct heirs of the ancient Greek civilization, and they can be so called because, at the present time, it is just they who chiefly bring every kind of new science and invention into contemporary civilization. Unfortunately, my boy, the beings of that contemporary community Germany have in many respects, as it is said, surpassed the beings of ancient Greece. Thanks to the sciences invented by the ancient Greeks, only the being mentation of other beings was spoiled and still continues to be spoiled. But in addition to this, the contemporary beings of that community Germany have become very skillful also in inventing those sciences, thanks to which the said specific disease there of wiseacring has been very widely spread among other of your favorites. And during the process of this disease in them, many of them semi-consciously or even quite automatically chance to notice some small detail of the common cosmic process which actualizes everything existing. And afterwards, informing others of it, they together use it for some of their, as they are called, new inventions, thereby adding to the number of those new means of which during the last 2 of their centuries so many have accumulated there that their total effect has now already become what is called the resultant decomposing force, in contradistinction to what is called the resultant creative force of nature. And indeed, my boy, owing merely to the sciences invented by the beings of the contemporary Germany, other three-brained beings of your planet, belonging both to that same community and to other communities, have now acquired the possibility of inventing, and now they almost every day invent here and there some such new invention or new means, and employing them in the process of their existence, have now already brought it about that poor nature there, already enfeebled without this through no fault of her own, is scarcely able to actualize what are called her evolutionary and involutionary processes. For your clear representation and better understanding how these contemporary direct heirs have surpassed their legators, I must now explain to you also about certain widely used means existing there at the present time, which owe their existence exclusively to these nature-helping direct heirs of ancient Greece. I will explain to you certain of these means there, now existing and in use everywhere, which have been invented by the beings of that contemporary community, Germany. I should like first to emphasize, by the way, one very odd phenomenon, namely that these contemporary substitutes for the ancient Greeks give names to their said maleficent inventions, names which for some reason or other all end in INE. As examples of the very many particularly maleficent inventions of those German beings, let us take just those 5 what are called chemical substances now existing there under the names of satkain, aniline, cocaine, atropine, and alizarin, which chemical substances are used there at the present time by the beings of all the continents and islands, as our dear Mullah Nasruddin says, even without any economizing. The first of the enumerated means specially invented by the German beings, namely satkain, is nothing else but samukuruazar, that is to say, one of those 7 what are called neutralizing gases, which arise and are present in the common presence of each planet, and which take part in the completed crystallization of every definite surplanetary and interplanetary formation, and which, in separate states, are always and everywhere what are called indiscriminate destroyers of the already arisen. About this German invention, I once also learned there, among other things, that when one of the beings of that community, for reasons I recently described, happened to obtain this gas from some surplanetary and interplanetary definite formations, and noticed in the said way its particularity, and told several others about it, then, owing to the fact that there was then proceeding in the presences of the beings of their community, consequently in them themselves, what is called the most intense experiencing of the chief particularity of the psyche of the 3-brained beings of your planet, namely the urgent need to destroy the existence of others like themselves. And indeed, the beings of that community were then fully absorbed in their process of reciprocal destruction with the beings of neighboring communities. These others, thereupon, at once enthusiastically decided to devote themselves entirely to finding means to employ the special property of that gas for the speedy mass destruction of the existence of the beings of other communities. Having begun their practical researches with this aim in view, one of them soon discovered that if this gas is concentrated in a pure state, in such a way that it could be freely liberated in any given space at any given time, it could easily be employed for the mentioned aim. That was sufficient, and from then on this gas, artificially isolated from the general harmony of the actualization of everything existing, began to be liberated in a certain way into space by all the other ordinary beings of that community during the process of reciprocal destruction, just when and just where the greatest number of beings of other, as they are called, hostile communities were grouped. When this isolated, particularly poisonous cosmic substance is intentionally liberated into the atmosphere under the said conditions, and when, striving to reblend with other corresponding cosmic substances, it happens to enter the planetary bodies of 3-brained beings nearby, it instantly and completely destroys their existence, or, at best, permanently injures the functioning of one or other part of their common presence. The second of the chemical substances I enumerated, namely aniline, is that chemical coloring substance by means of which most of those surplanetary formations can be dyed, from which the 3-brained beings there make